Welcome to Sports Street with Richard Campbell. Tomorrow I will be talking hockey with Hunter Monkhouse, but today I'm discussing baseball, basketball, and football with Saxon Lucas. Welcome, Saxon.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Pretty good, my friend.
So let's start with baseball. Otana from the Angels with 101 miles per hour pitch. That's a pretty impressive pitch for the long pitcher, isn't it?
Yeah, I found that very impressive, and the fact that he can throw that pitch and then go out and hit a home run right after that is absolutely ridiculous.
Mm. Do you see the Angels being a real contender this year with this long pitcher obviously having a hot start? And of
I
course,
think,
they have Mike Trout to rely on for hitting wise too.
yeah, I honestly see the Angels like being a good enough team that they can compete for a playoff spot for sure.
That's good. They've always been one of my favorite teams. And now let's move a little bit east to talk about the MLB All-Star Game. It is moving from Atlanta to Denver. Can you tell me the reasons why it's moving?
I think I believe I read that Atlanta's restrictions for COVID are quite strict, and well, yeah, the restrictions for COVID are quite strict. And in Denver, I believe they're allowed to have up to 50% capacity, so I believe that's the reasoning behind it.
Hmm. Well, I don't know about you, but I like the backdrop of the Rockies a lot better than Atlanta's Heat for an All-Star Game.
I completely agree with you. I think it's a way better place to host it.
Now let's talk about a little bit of Toronto Blue Jays. Bo Bissett has had a pretty good start to the year, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's not hitting his average from last year by any means, but or years previous, but he's been hitting the ball well. And when he gets a hold of it, he's gotten a hold of it. His on base percentage is very good.
Mm, him and Guerrero and Springer could be very good this year. I'm excited about that potential.
Oh yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that's a they're a good team. They need to well, especially last night, their pitching was terrible. But other than that, yeah, they're a good team. They're looking good.
Now let's talk about the man who built the Blue Jays, Atkins. He just resigned for a 5-year tenure and he's had a pretty good tenure so far. Do you see this 5-year extension worthy?
I think yeah. I thought the extension was worthy for sure. Like he's built a contending team, and it's it's hard to build a contending team in the MLB today with the Yankees being so good and the Dodgers being just as good.
Mm. And plus they got through pretty quickly on that rebuild they had what they said bye to Donaldson, Batista, and Conceon to the Nowitzki among others too.
Yeah,
So I see it as worthy. And now let's
I
talk about Francis Lindor's massive signing. Can you tell me about the terms that the Mets gave him?
I believe they signed him for it was something absurd. I think it was 341 million? Yeah,
Something like that. I'll
yeah.
just search it up quickly.
I just looked it up now. It's 10 years, 341 million, and he's already getting paid a signing bonus of 21 million.
Like that.
Legit.
That is insane for anybody, let alone a 10-year contract as well.
Yeah, like that is a long contract. I don't know how like towards the end of the contract, I don't know how much that's gonna pay off for them, especially since he's already 27.
Mm.
But definitely I think deserves the contract.
Like he's had an impressive career, but still, like look up at NHL. There was a reason why they took away these massive contracts, like 13-year, 15-year contracts, because they are a killer to a team and to the player as well. Like he'll look at Parise's signing. As soon as he signed that contract, his production went downhill.
Yeah, exactly. Like the the Mets really gotta hope that Lindor does not go downhill.
Do you see the Mets battling for a playoff spot or succeeding in the playoffs because of Lindor signing among others?
I think they'll be a wild card team, but I don't think that they'll go very far.
Now let's talk a little bit about the NBA. The NBA has a pretty tight playoff race in the East, don't they? Like,
Yeah, I
I believe there is one, two, three, four, five. There's nine teams in the running for from seeds 4 to 10. That's going to be tight as hell.
yeah, seeds 4 to 10 are gonna be very very close, I think. And this year it's a 10 team playoff format, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be very interesting to see how the season finishes out.
I'm surprised by some of these teams in for playoff race in general. Like, who would have predicted the New York Knicks or Charlotte would be in for playoff race at the moment?
I thought Charlotte was good at the start of the year, but or like was good, but they're also missing Lamelo Ball right now, and they're still playing good. So that's what's kind of shocking to me. It's shocking that they're sitting at fifth. But then again, you don't look at these standings for a week, and then there's completely different teams all over the place, and you're confused. Like,
True, like it nearly never bounces up and down, but still, I predicted it would be a lottery team, but for sitting fifth.
yeah, yeah, I agree. There's a lot. Yeah, I didn't think the Hornets would be a lottery team necessarily. I thought they were going to be eighth or ninth, but well, then that would almost put them in the lottery still. But the Raptors have been very disappointing out of teams that I've been most disappointed with. The Raptors are probably the most disappointing one so far.
Oh no doubt. Yeah, many people expected them to be in for fifth, sixth seed, and will not even in for 10-game team playoffs at the moment.
Yeah, I'd say the two most disappointing teams in the whole league are probably the Raptors and the Pelicans. Because a lot of people were high on the Pelicans coming into the season, thought they might compete for a playoff spot, and they're sitting in the 11th seed in the West.
Levis is completely set up a bad deal too.
Yeah.
Now, Drew Holiday signed a big contract with Milwaukee, but I thought he would be hitting free agency at the end of the deal, so it came to me as a shock. Like, he's a terrific player, but
Yeah, did he really warrant that money? That's a very good point to bring up. Like he yes, he's a very good player, but he is 30 years old. He's 30 years old too, and it's like is that what you want to sign for that much money?
uh, it just doesn't make sense to me, as I don't see the Bucks going anywhere near the NBA championship in the East. Because I see the
I know.
Sixers and the Nets, and that's not going to improve with time too, as holidays don't get older and players are going to come and go.
Exactly. No, I think that's very interesting. Very very interesting how much they signed him for.
And now let's talk about the other sector of basketball, college. Baylor won against Gonzaga in a pretty big way on Monday night. What can you tell me about the performance?
Well, you look at the intangibles to win a national championship. You got to have good defense, and they played really good defense against Gonzaga. especially at the start of the game. Gonzaga couldn't score at the start, and then well, basically throughout it, and then you need really good 3-point shooting, and their team shot at like 44% on the season. So it doesn't come as big of a shock to me, who's a very big college basketball fan, but to the average fan, yeah, seeing a team's undefeated season fall is shocking.
Mm. Like you predicted Baylor would win at last video, I did as well. So I wasn't totally shocked. I was shocked at how big of a defeat it was, bro.
Oh yeah, I was shocked by that too. I thought like Baylor, if they're gonna win, they're probably gonna win by about like I don't know, maybe 8 or 9, but not that drastic
Mm.
of a margin.
It just shocked me to watching that game.
Yeah,
Now let's talk about the NFL. Now the season isn't going on, but lots of moves are happening in the lead up to the draft. Most of all, one of the most recent news picks is Sam Darnold, but Dirty Sets quarterback being moved to the Panthers. What can you tell me about that?
well, here's my theory on this. It's a win for both teams. The Jets, well, Sam Darnold just was never right. He never looked right in their system at all, and it was just mind-boggling to me that they they trade him for as like little as they did. But I don't know. A second round pick's good. It's coming from the Panthers though, who could be good next year, which means it could be a late second or even like a middle second. I would have thought they would have gotten at least maybe a first round pick or tried for that. But Sam Darnold also, if I'm making an argument for the Panthers case, is Sam Darnold is younger than Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow is a guy who's praised by a lot of people. Sam Darnold just came out of school really early. He's only 23 years old, which is lots of time to develop. And he's got a great coach in, I believe, Ron Rivera.
No, but it was with Washington. I
Or
forget
Rivera's
who.
with Washington. Who is there? Oh, Matt Rule. Matt Rule.
Yes.
That's my bad. Yeah, Matt Rule's a good coach, and he ran a good system at Baylor where you did not need a running quarterback. So,
La,
yeah, like,
Donald is a very straightforward quarterback like Tom Brady. Pretty stocky, doesn't run a lot, but he has tons of potential, and as you said, his age will be a factor.
yeah. And he's a young guy, and he's like, he doesn't have the skill set of an elite quarterback, but I think that can definitely be developed. And along with having a young quarterback, I like what Carolina's doing.
They could challenge for a playoff spot next year.
I think they honestly could as well. They're in a division where it's like you don't know where New Orleans is going to be at with the Breeze retirement. Atlanta, I can't see being too good, and then you have the Bucks. But like, there's 7 teams that make the playoffs, so yeah,
And it's not a particularly strong conference either. Like the NFC East, I believe, is a setback for the Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, Washington.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Like the NFC is very. This is one of the first times ever where I think the NFC is more top heavy than the AFC is,
Mm.
which is shocking to say because the NFC is normally the one that has it's very deep and you don't see problems with teams in the playoffs. And then you look this year, you have the Chicago Bears making the playoffs at 8-8.
Mm.
So yeah,
Like basically, I see two contenders in the NFC: Packers and Bucks, and for West, like the NFC West is all don't be cluttered together. You have four teams that should be able to make the playoffs in that division.
I would make the argument that the Rams are an elite team as well, just because they have that defense from last year. They basically didn't lose many guys on their defense. You also have Aaron Donald, who is unbelievable. And then on top of that, you have a new quarterback in Matthew Stafford. So, and Matthew age of
32.
32, 32.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, for one thing that's holding me back from calling for Ramsey elite team is teams change fast. Like, look at the 49ers. They'll be four they go to the Super Bowl, and they don't even make it this the next year afterwards. Unless I know what went wrong, COVID cases and quarterback issues, but it's still the same.
Yeah, I did not. I was not impressed with the 49ers this past season. I expected a lot more out of them. And yeah, that was bad to see because I do not see them being good this year either.
I see for 49ers if they can get their hands on the Sean Watson guys if he'll be allowed to play, who knows now. Could be
Yeah,
a
like
contender.
it could be a very that could be that's a very interesting situation right now. Like there's nothing being said from his team, and more people are accusing him of stuff now. So who knows?
Do you believe the allegations?
I don't know. Allegations are allegations. It's hard. It's hard to say. Like when a bunch of people are coming out, it's kind of embarrassing to the player, even if these are fake allegations. But it was initially one, and now it's three. So I don't know.
Well, one person steps up and they all step up with professional athletes, and I'm sure some of them are fake, but I believe there's real merit stuffed inside you.
Yeah, I think that it's a very bad situation, and to be completely honest with you, it's probably the last thing the Texans want because that's the only player they still have.
Yeah. And they won't even trade away the cancer either.
Yeah, you can't because then does any other team want to deal with that? You might get like a seventh round pick for him at this point.
They should have dealt him way earlier.
Yeah, they should have dealt him early before this happened for sure.
And the same as the Texans were contenders just a couple of years ago. Then they get rid of Clowney and Ben Hopkins. And
Yeah, they're definitely. I am confident. I can confidently say that they are the worst team in the AFC.
I think for worst team and for whole NFL.
They might be the worst team in the whole NFL. I actually agree with you there. Like you look at the AFC though, the AFC next year is stacking up to be very, very deep with a lot of good teams. Like there are so many possibilities for the AFC next year. So many teams could make the playoffs.
Who do you think's going to drop out of the playoffs in the AFC but made it last year?
Give me a second here. Let me just see what I'm thinking here. I think the one team that could have problems is if Derrick Henry falls off. I don't know what'll happen with Derrick Henry. That's one of the teams that the Tennessee is one of the teams that needs that player to play. And if not, they could be the team to drop out. I can't see. I maybe even the Steelers. I want to see what Big Ben is like this year. Like they started off really hot and ended the season very, very cold.
Mm. Well, the
But
hot streak was also very incidental. They weren't ever that good. They weren't a 11 and 0 team in reality. They just saw a
yeah,
bunch of breaks.
I agree. I agree with you. Their schedule is really, really easy too. But like out of the teams in the AFC that I think are contenders for playoffs, I'd say the Chiefs are probably a lock. The Ravens and the Browns will be there again. The Bills are good. The Colts are good. The Patriots are very good. The Dolphins, the Chargers even. Like I can start naming teams. Like I only see a couple of teams not being able to compete for playoffs. One being the Texans. I think the Jets are light years away now after trading Darnold still. The Bengals might need another season. I don't see the Broncos. The Jaguars might be my sleeper to be completely honest with you for playoffs because they just needed a quarterback last year.
Mm.
They needed a quarterback
I'll have you on before the draft to discuss Trevor Lawrence, who is almost certainly going to the Jaguars. But let's
Yeah.
talk about what you mentioned about the who do you see as being the top two seeds in the conference?
In the AFC,
Yes.
um, okay, this is a tough one to unravel here because I don't know. I probably see. I definitely see Buffalo being one of the two, and then after that, I'd say for me, it's probably a toss up between the Chiefs and the Browns because I like the way the Browns ended the season, and I'm not a huge Browns supporter myself, but the way that they ended the season, aside from the loss to the Jets, was very good. Even the Ravens, but if I had to be forced to pick two, I'll go Bills and Chiefs again, but Bills won, Chiefs two this time.
Now, personally, I don't have the seeds being as good as they were the past couple of years. As I said, teams drop off really fast, and they did let go two of the top defenders, and then they signed a linebacker who could decline at any moment.
Yeah, that's my train of thought as well. I still see the Chiefs as a playoff team for sure. Like they have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, they have all that. They still have all that there, and you still have your receiving core. But yeah, I think I could definitely see them falling to about a four seed or even losing the division to the Chargers.
Now, for me, for my top two, I have two picks you didn't say for Ravens and for Colts. Now, you mentioned for Ravens, and I think we're going to break out this year to be somewhat like they were in 2019.
I definitely can see that as well. They're good. They're a very good team. And then with the Colts, the only reason I don't have them in my top two is because I think their division itself and their schedule itself, like they have to play the NFC West for their schedule, and they also have to play the AFC South, which outside of Houston, like anyone can beat anyone, and I think that was proven this past season when Jacksonville beat the Colts in Week One.
Now, you mentioned the Titans earlier, and I do see them dropping out for playoffs, but the Jaguars could be in the background and could potentially slide into that seventh seed.
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking. The seventh seed in the AFC is going to be very competitive. I think, like I can, I think it's fair to say you can definitely slot the Colts, the Bills, the Patriots, the Ravens, the Browns, and the Chiefs in the playoff picture. But then after that, you got teams like the Chargers, you got teams like the Dolphins, you got the Titans. It's going to be fun. You might even have the Bengals up there. I don't know what could happen with them.
Now, you mentioned the Patriots a couple of times, so I'm assuming you think that them signing two top tight ends is a good move.
I think that's probably the Patriots are definitely the biggest winners of this offseason. Like you went 7-9 last season, and you looked at the end of the season like a team with absolutely zero hope. And now you're making these big signings, and you might be a quarterback away, or even you might not even need the quarterback to be good. Like Camp could be the answer. Who knows?
Like, obviously, Newton won't go back to his 2015 season, but I think he is still a decent quarterback.
Well, yeah, you look at the Tennessee Titans, and Ryan Tannehill is not an elite quarterback, or even the Indianapolis Colts this past season with Philip Rivers at quarterback. They are not top talent quarterbacks by any means, and they proceeded to make the playoffs and like and competed too. So
Well, they ran with a heavy running back system of Taylor and Henry, while the Patriots, the running back is Sonny Michel. who isn't
Yeah,
very good.
yeah, like that's the thing. But you have tight ends too at this point, and Cam. That means Cam does not have to throw the ball very far.
Mm. Who knows? Maybe Sonny Smith or Hunter Henry could be the next Travis Kelsey.
Yeah, they're both very good tight ends. I had Hunter Henry on my fantasy team this past year, and he was good.
Now I have one of those two tight ends being injured early on and showing up late in the year. I picked Sonny for the injury, but it could very well be Henry. It's just a feeling, in my opinion, though.
Yeah, and then yeah, I don't know. I think they're a very intriguing team to look at.
And they also signed linebacker for the Ravens, Sudon, too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that team's a very like good looking playoff team.
Mm. Now let's talk about the NFC again with the Bucks and Packers. That was a hell of a game for the Buccaneers fans. I'm personally a Packers fan, so I didn't like it too much. But one of the wide receivers, Antonio Brown, still has not made his decision on joining back with Tampa Bay to complete that team again, or going with the Packers for losers from last year in the championship game. Did you see him signing anywhere else besides Tampa?
Um, okay. The thing with Tampa is I don't know how much money he's gonna make. He's made his money for his career. Don't get me wrong, but I think signing a Green Bay, if I'm correct, Green Bay. I'm just gonna quickly look this up. I believe Green Bay has more salary cap space for sure. Almost 100% sure. Yeah, Green Bay has $3 million in salary cap space. Tampa Bay only has 700,000. So I think that he could definitely sign in Green Bay, and that makes them a very good team as well. I think he might sign in Green Bay. That's just my personal hunch.
I hope he signs in Green Bay as after Devontae Adams, we have MVS and Lazard and Antonio Brown makes that group a whole lot more attractive.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Antonio Brown is that washed up of a receiver yet. At least, like he proved to me last year that he can still catch a ball in the NFL and get open.
Like he's still a very decent second wide receiver.
Yeah, like 483 yards, and he was their third receiver. He only played in 8 games.
Mm.
So, like, yeah,
Like when I was watching the Super Bowl, I was mad that they didn't pass to him more often than they should have. As like they passed to Gronkowski, but I believe Antonio Brown is a better catchable target than Gronkowski is at this moment in time.
yeah. I agree. I can't believe that Antonio Brown has came back. To be honest with you, like he's back and he was quite good.
Like
Like
he
if he
wasn't
starts
still.
all 16 games, if he would have hear me out here, if he would have started all 16 games, I believe he was still an 1,000 yard receiver.
That's a very interesting point you made.
Like he started 4 games this past year and he played in 8, and he had 483 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns.
Very impressive.
Yeah,
He was even sale at some point last year too, which makes this even more unbelievable.
exactly. I still think he's got what it takes to be a quite elite receiver in the NFL.
Now let's talk about the Packers. One of the most recent subsets has been is Aaron Rodgers ever going to win another Super Bowl in Green Bay or does he have to leave? What are your opinions on this?
Okay. Well, Aaron Rodgers, I still feel like last year he proved that like he's got time left. Like I don't know how long you want Jordan Love to sit on your bench though, right? And you know what? I could see them making a run for it this year. But that being said, I think he probably has to go somewhere else to win the Super Bowl.
See, I'm definitely thinking this. I could see Love stepping in. There are basically two decisions of course for Packers management. Rodgers said F flew to Packers management last year when he saw them drafted, but have your MVP leave. And basically now with Packers management, he will be made a admit that they made a mistake drafting Jordan Love, stick with Rodgers, or be stubborn and let go of Rodgers no matter how well he does for Jordan Love.
Exactly. Like I think most definitely that they could even they might who knows. For all we know, they might not keep Love. They could trade him for a pick eventually. I don't know. Like if there's a more intriguing QB prospect, trade the guy and let him go. Because or if there's no, or if Rodgers has another season like this past one, like I don't think you can get rid of him after that. That would be the stupidest move in NFL history.
Mm. And another point I want to make is no other team is better equipped to win a Super Bowl than the Packers. They had the best offense in the NFL with a top wide receiver, a top five running back, some say, a good offensive line, and the defense is also top 10 in the league. Well, the team has that much options for him.
Yeah, that's exactly. I don't think another team is going to provide the options that Green Bay has provided for Aaron Rodgers, but it's a matter of I think it's really a matter of if the staff wants to keep him there or not. And I think he's definitely similar to Tom Brady, where he could probably go till he's about 43 years old or higher and still be a good quarterback. It's how much sacrifice he wants to make for Green Bay.
I see the Cardinals bringing in all of this support. AJ Green, J.J. Watt, bringing in Hopkins last year. I'm bold enough to say the Cardinals did more for Kyler Murray in his 3 seasons in the league than Green Bay has done for Rodgers in the last 10 years.
Yeah, yeah, they've done a fair amount for Kyler Murray. I wouldn't say the last 10. I'd say probably the last five. I think saying the last five would be very fair. Like in in the past 2 years for Kyler Murray, they've given him every option or every option to be good in the NFL. And I really, for their sake, I really hope for the fans of Arizona's sake that they are good this year.
I think they will be, but that's just
I
my
think I
opinion.
think they I had them I was really high on them last year. I thought they'd make the playoffs as well, and then you lose to a team like Chicago, and Chicago ends up in the playoffs.
I think they are better than Chicago was last year too, but Kyler declined a little bit, which is a disappointment. But
Well, yeah, it was the end of the season. The end of the season was a disaster for them. You're 8-6 and you lose the last two games. Well, then again, Kyler was hurt for the final game, but still, the Rams quarterback was also hurt, Jared Goff. So yeah,
mm. Now talk about the Cardinals. Larry Fitzgerald said he's leaning towards retirement. This is big news for the living legend. Do you think he goes down as a top five or top 10 wide receiver of all time?
um, okay, well, you go look at his career, and he's a very good, he's very clean receiver, always caught the ball, everything. I definitely think that he should go down as a top 10 receiver of all time.
Mm. Who It's the same that the Cardinals never won a Super Bowl with him because he's one of the most likable players in the league.
Yes, exactly. I agree with you. I really, I really wish that he would have won a Super Bowl, but this just proves how hard it is to win a Super Bowl. And he was there. He lost in a Super Bowl, and yeah, it's tough to get back. It's always going to be a tough. The NFL is a tough league because you only have 17 games to be good. It's not like where it's the NHL, NBA, or MLB where you get 82 plus games to be good. You have to be good here and now. You have to be on that football field every single Sunday and give yourself a decent playoff seeding. Because once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. But you got to be good for the time being.
Like those 17 games is like 5 game chunks of the NBA and Excel. One lose means you lose 5 straight games, for example.
Exactly. I think 17 games. You go look at this 17 game schedule, and I say the first 2 weeks, especially this past season, because there was no preseason. If there is a preseason, the first 2 games are your feeling out games. Like anything can happen in those first 2 games. If you lose those first 2 games, okay, you're not in a good position at all. But you're not insurmountable. But if you look at a 5 game stretch, 5 game stretches are way worse. You can't be like Arizona where you end the season 2-3 and miss out on the playoffs. It's a very much so a matter of the 15 games from week 3 till the end of the season.
That's a fair assessment. I'm excited for the Cardinals this year, though. I could see them winning the top spot in the league if J.J. Watt can come to even close where he was during his prime, or if Kyler breaks out even more.
Yeah, I could definitely see the Cardinals being a good team. They're in a pretty stacked division though. It's gonna again, it's always gonna be the Cardinals' issue because the NFC West is just a
Bloodbath.
it's a bloodbath every single season. The NFC East is garbage. I wish they'd combine the divisions to make like 2 decent divisions.
That would be a funny idea.
Yeah, like move Dallas into that division or something.
Who rest of these teams do you see most unlikely to make the playoffs in the NFC West?
Which one do I think is the most unlikely
Less.
to make the playoffs? I'd say the 49ers probably. But other than that, like the Seahawks should be good. They should be. I'm not saying they are. They also lost their top corner in Shaquille Griffin to Jacksonville, and you lost some guys from the defense, but you still have Bobby Wagner, and he's always going to make the defense good. So I think they're probably my third seed right now in that division. That's a toss up between the Cardinals and the Rams, but I gotta give it to the Rams because they have playoff experience and they have Matthew Stafford. So now I think he's a better quarterback than Jared Goff, and I think they 100% won that trade.
I don't know if giving up 2 first-round picks is wise, though.
I don't know if it's right either, but it's the matter of the Rams have not had a first round pick since 2019, I believe.
Something like
And
that.
I do not think the Rams' first round picks of the past have been very good. So I think it's a matter of that they don't trust themselves to pick in the first round. They have not had a first round pick since 2018. Hold on, never mind. They have not had a first round pick since 2016. And you want to know who that was? That was
Golf.
Jared Goff.
That's pretty funny.
That might be one of the most crazy stat lines ever. They do not have a first round pick until 2024.
Like that's 8 years.
Like if you go through from 2010 to 2016, their first round picks, it is fucking terrible. You have Sam Bradford, who's a bust. Robert Quinn, who's pretty decent. Michael Brockers, who's not a first round pick. Tavon Austin, not a first round pick. Alec Ogletree, okay, that's a pretty good one. Greg Robinson, did not deserve to be second overall. Aaron Donald and then Todd Gurley are the ones they hit on. And then Jared Goff, I'd say, is not. If
He
from that draft class, maybe he's the first overall pick still, but like, eh.
he's been average at best.
Yeah, exactly. Like Jared Goff and Carson Wentz would probably if they redo that draft, I definitely think they'd pick Joey Bosa first overall.
Oh no doubt, he's definitely the best player in that draft class.
Or even Jalen Ramsey, but they have Jalen Ramsey now, so
That Sackensville team for one just broke up. For one went far in the playoffs, just broke apart after that.
exactly. That's what it sometimes happens in the league, man. Like it's such a small window that like you can have that happen. Look at the San Francisco 49ers, the exact same thing. You come up short one year and then you end up 6-10 the next year.
Mm. And of course, COVID played the issues, and I think we would have finished 8-8 if they were healthy for Julio. But
Yeah, I agree. COVID put an issue. They had an injury bug, but you know what? That's football.
yeah, like if if um, if the NFL was like the NHL, teams would be in the playoff race a long time. Like hell, look at the Blues a couple of years ago winning the cup, and they were in the playoffs for a long time, from
And they were
2011 to the year before. Like,
weren't they one of the worst teams in the NHL at one point that season?
yeah, they were last place on January 2nd, and then Jordan Bennington comes up and saves the day.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy to think about that can happen. And yeah, if the league were any different, if football were different, but the reality is you cannot play two football games in one week. It is a toll on a guy's body.
Oh la la, football games are rough and tumble. I played for a couple of years, and the training that these guys go into is so muscle building. It's just wow. Like there is a
Yeah,
reason why they are the most biggest and most muscular guys in the whole universe right now.
yeah, it makes sense. Like, yeah, for sure.
Like look at the legs, look at the arms. Like, wow. I mean,
Yeah, it's fucked.
well, that's what happens when you eat and train for years, though. But still,
Yeah, exactly. When you train that hard for that many years like this, it makes sense. But it's still crazy to think about.
like those guys probably eat 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day, while most people eat 3,000 calories on a good day.
I'd say most people eat about 2,000 a day. Like a non-athlete, that's the typical amount. Like 2,000, even 1,500. It's not that out of the question, especially for like a female or something.
Mm.
But with the amount of alcohol, or not alcohol, fuck, that I'm out of that. The amount of calories that they consume is absurd.
Mm. Well, I believe that's all I have for today. Is there anything you want to discuss?
Um, not too much. I was just looking through some sports tonight. Maple Leafs are tied with the Canadiens, all that good stuff. The NBA has some games. The NBA has a big slate of games tonight. Shockingly, Indiana is leading Minnesota right now by 15, and Indiana I think is missing a bunch of their best players. So,
How do
oh,
you?
actually, I do want to talk about one thing actually.
I see the Suns winning. They've been on fire as of late, and like it's not like Utah hasn't, but it's never want to go with Chris Paul.
Yeah, I'm taking the Suns over the Jazz in that one for sure.
Now in a playoff series, if those two meet, it will be Utah in my opinion. But
Yeah. I think in a playoff series between those two teams, that's a very good series, and it might end up going. It could go either way. I think that series goes to 7 games if they play each other in the playoffs.
like I'm willing to bet it'll go to 7 games too. Well, thank you for joining us today, Satson. I'll speak to
Yeah, no
you.
problem at all, man.
I'll speak to you soon. See ya.
For sure. See ya.
So that was Sass and Lucas, and thank you for tuning into Sports Street. As I said at the beginning of this, hockey is tomorrow with Hunter Monkhouse. But I hope you enjoyed this today. Bye.